Today we will explore 10 animals that can survive death. It may sound unbelievable, but nature always hides such miracles. Let's explore these extraordinary secrets and find out how these creatures are able to transcend the boundaries of life and death. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other interesting videos. Now let's get started. Number 10. Cockroaches. It shouldn't be surprising that these tiny bugs make the list. Cockroaches are notorious for their resilience and are often cited as the most likely survivors of a nuclear war. Some even claim they can live without their heads. Well, believe it or not, they can live without their heads. In fact, they can continue living for up to 2 weeks. To understand how these bugs can survive decapitation, we must first understand why we fragile humans cannot. Firstly, humans bleed, and when a person's head is removed, they lose a lot of blood. Cockroaches don't have this issue because they have an open circulatory system, which means little to no blood pressure. So if their head is removed, the wound closes naturally due to clotting. Secondly, and quite obviously, human heads contain a very important part of our body, our brain. Without it, humans cannot function. Eating, drinking, and breathing are all impossible without the head. Cockroaches, on the other hand, don't need their heads to breathe, as they do this through tiny holes located on their bodies called spiracles. Although a headless cockroach will eventually die of starvation, it will take weeks for this to happen. Number 9. Bees. This may surprise you, the bee does not die and the bee will die. However, there's an interesting reason why they made this list. Even after death, bees can still sting you. Of course, not in the way you might imagine. Dead bees cannot fly around and intentionally sting, but their stingers and, more importantly, their venom delivery system remain active long after the bee is dead. When a bee stings, its stinger detaches and embeds itself into the victim's skin. Attached to the stinger is a small organ that holds the bee venom and a muscle that pumps the venom out. Due to the simple physiology of bees, these actions aren't controlled by the bee's brain, but by involuntary impulses. So if you think it's safe to handle a dead bee, think again. Number 8. Chickens. There is truth in the idiom, run like a headless chicken. Ask any farmer, and they will tell you that chickens can still run after having their heads cut off. The reason is not because chickens are zombies, but because of human error, specifically the error of the chicken slaughterer. The central nervous system of chickens is very different from humans. Some basic functions of the body are controlled not by the brain, but by certain parts of the brain stem. So what does this mean? When a chicken slaughterer cuts off the head too high, usually only the front part of the chicken's brain is cut off, leaving the brain stem and cerebellum intact. If the surgeon also does not reach the jugular vein, the chicken not only continues to move but can sometimes even breathe. Of course, it will eventually starve to death. But there is one exceptional case where a chicken survived for 18 months without a head. Number 7. Octopus. I'm sure you've come across videos online where an octopus, even after being chopped up, continues to move. In certain Asian countries, consuming fresh octopus is considered a dangerous delicacy. It's not the octopus itself that survives being chopped up. It's the 8 agile arms that continue to wriggle. Unfortunately, these arms often end up lodged in someone's throat, leading to a disastrous outcome. The reason behind the octopus's arms maintaining mobility post-amputation is quite intriguing. It's because their central nervous system is incredibly unique. Unlike most animals, the majority of an octopus's nerve cells, 2 out of 3 in fact, are not located in the brain as one might expect, but rather in its tentacles. These arms can still react to stimuli even when disconnected from the main brain. Remarkably, they remain responsive even after the octopus has long perished, and its arms have suffered. Researchers at St. George University in London delved into this phenomenon through extensive experimentation. After euthanizing the animals, they removed and preserved the arms in chilled seawater for up to an hour before testing. Some arms were suspended vertically, while others were laid out horizontally. Upon stimulating them, the suspended arms recoiled, shortening and curling in a corkscrew shape within seconds. Similarly, the horizontal arms moved away from the stimulus, some bending at a makeshift joint towards the top. These movements persisted for up to a week after the octopus's demise. Number 6. Salamanders. When crafting a lineup of creatures that persist despite apparent demise, it's hard to overlook the salamander. This creature is synonymous with longevity and even immortality, revered by believers in magic. Salamanders possess the uncanny knack of regrowing any severed body part. What's truly remarkable is that these regenerated parts not only match the original in function, but sometimes even surpass it. This extraordinary ability is largely thanks to a special protein found in salamanders, which jumpstarts cell replication. While humans have this protein too, it's in smaller amounts and aids mainly in our wound healing. So, does this imply that we're on the brink of regenerating limbs like salamanders? Not quite. But scientists are closely studying these creatures, hopeful that their unique abilities might one day benefit us humans. Number 5. Frogs. Research has revealed that frogs retain mobility even when their brains are inactive. This discovery stemmed from observations of headless animals continuing to move, motivating scientists to explore further. While impressive on its own, a headless creature can only achieve so much. But what if the frog's head remains intact when the brain is removed? Thanks to the bold approach of 19th century neurologist David Farrier, who applied the "let's see what happens when we remove its brain" attitude to science, we have answer. Surprisingly, a brainless frog behaves similarly to a frog with an intact brain. It stands on its own when turned upside down, jumps away when its legs are pinned, swims and climbs out of the water, and quite disturbingly, even squeaks when stroked on its back. The key to these zombie-like behaviors lies in the strength of the reflex response. These reactions trigger the necessary electrical impulses that cause the muscles to relax or contract, helping the frog to exhibit movements reminiscent of its normal behavior. Number 4. Flies. You've likely witnessed David Blaine perform his seemingly miraculous act of resurrecting dead flies with just a touch. However, this isn't because the magician possesses supernatural powers. Rather, flies have a remarkable ability to survive freezing temperatures and enter a state of suspended animation. What David is truly doing is simply thawing the frozen fly using his own body heat. Once fully thawed, the fly regains its mobility and flies away. But the fly's resilience in freezing temperatures isn't the only reason it earns a place on this list. Female flies exhibit an astonishing ability to survive for several days even after decapitation. Following such an ordeal, these headless females adopt an upright stance similar to that of a normal fly. Remarkably, they can still engage in complex behaviors such as preening, flying, and even walking under duress. What's even more astounding is that male flies continue to court decapitated females. Yes, you read that correctly. Chop off a female fly's head and little changes in terms of male behavior. If anything, it seems to make the female more appealing to the males, who still pursue mating with her fervently. Meanwhile, the headless female responds to their advances much like she would to any other stimulus. Perhaps a curious and somewhat unsettling parallel to human behavior. Number 3. Turtles. The hearts of fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals all possess their own pacemaker cells. These cells kick in when signals from the brainstem fail to reach the heart, ensuring its continued function even in the absence of brain activity. However, turtles take the concept of heart resilience to a whole new level. From a turtle's perspective, being deprived of oxygen and nutrients typically supplied by the blood is just another day at the office. These remarkable creatures can endure extended periods of deprivation. Take, for instance, the loggerhead musk turtle, which managed to survive an astonishing 5,000 hours without oxygen. Yes, you heard that right. A 5 followed by 3 zeros. How did they pull off such a feat? Turtles can extract oxygen from water through their skin, throat, and even their posterior. Furthermore, their bodies possess an incredible ability to generate energy without oxygen. In essence, their hearts have a built-in fuel reserve and refuse to quit until every last drop of it is depleted. Now, let's turn our attention to today's top contender, a creature so formidable that it can still pose a threat even with its head severed. Perfect for Halloween, honestly. Number 2. Snakes. When confronted with a highly venomous snake, people typically react in one of 3 ways: fleeing, freezing in place, or resorting to desperate measures like decapitation. While chopping off the snake's head may seem like a logical defense strategy, the reality is far more sinister. Even after decapitation, a snake's head, housing its fangs and venom glands, retains the ability to deliver a lethal bite. This is due to the snake's heat-sensitive pits located on either side of its face, which it uses to detect potential threats. If you're close enough to be detected by these heat sensors, you're close enough to be considered a threat. These heat-sensitive pits can detect a perceived threat for hours after the snake's demise, allowing it to defend itself in a zombie-like manner, even if its body is no longer attached. But the most shocking revelation is yet to come. But before I unveil it, here's a quick challenge. If you can hit the like and subscribe buttons within the next 5 seconds, you'll supposedly receive 10 years of extraordinary luck. Number 1. Flatworms. Have you heard the age-old tale about how earthworms supposedly reproduce? It claims that if you cut an earthworm in half, 2 separate worms will miraculously emerge. While this notion has long been debunked as pure myth, replace the earthworm with a flatworm, and suddenly, this old wives' tale becomes a chilling reality. Flatworms, also known as planarians, are renowned for their unparalleled ability to regenerate. They possess the remarkable capacity to regenerate any part of their bodies after amputation. If a flatworm is severed in half, the head portion regrows a tail, while the tail portion regenerates a head. Astonishingly, if you were to divide a flatworm into 20 pieces, each fragment would give rise to a new worm, an exact replica of the original. This incredible regenerative power hasn't gone unnoticed. Scientists at Nottingham University have capitalized on it, creating a colony of over 20,000 worms from a single original specimen. What's more, these regenerated worms show no signs of aging. Their bodies and organs appear to remain perpetually youthful. Researchers are confident that a solitary worm, if left undivided, could theoretically live forever, barring any infections or illnesses, of course. In summary, nature's resilience is truly remarkable. From headless frogs to immortal flatworms, these creatures astound us with their extraordinary abilities. Their insights could revolutionize science and medicine. Let's stay curious and keep exploring the wonders of the natural world together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating content.